Brave children. The children were almost at the gate when Bobby said, "Hush! Stop! What's that?" That was a very odd noise indeed. A soft noise, but quite plainly to be heard through the sound of the wind in the tree branches. It was a sort of rustling, whispering sound. As they listened, it stopped, and then it began again. And this time it did not stop, but it grew louder, and there was more rustling and rumbling. "Look!" cried Peter. Suddenly the tree over there, the tree he pointed at, was one of those that have rough gray leaves and white flowers. And as Peter pointed, the tree was moving, not just the way trees ought to move when the wind blows through them, but all in one piece, as though it were a live creature. "It's moving!" cried Bobby. "Oh, look! And so are the others." "It's magic!" said Phyllis breathlessly. "I always knew this railway was enchanted." It really did seem a little like magic, for all the trees for about 20 yards of the opposite bank seemed to be slowly walking down towards the railway line, the tree with the gray leaves bringing up the rear, like some old shepherd driving a flock of green sheep. "What is it? Oh, what is it?" said Phyllis. "It's much too magic for me. I don't like it. Let's go home." But Bobby and Peter clung fast to the rail and watched breathlessly, and Phyllis made no movement towards going home by herself. The trees moved on and on. Some stones and loose earth fell down and rattled on the railway matters far below. "It's all coming down," Peter tried to say, but he found there was hardly any voice to say it with. And indeed, just as he spoke, the great rock on the top of which the walking trees were leaned slowly forward. The trees, ceasing to walk, stood still and shivered. Learning with the rock, they seemed to hesitate a moment, and then rock and trees and grass and bushes, with a rushing sound, slipped right away front face of the cutting, and fell on the line with a blundering crash that could have been heard half a mile off. A cloud of dust rose up. "Look, what a great mound it's made," said Bobby. "Yes," said Peter slowly. He was still leaning on the fence. "Yes," he said again, still more slowly. Then he stood upright. "Then 11.29 down hasn't gone by yet. We must let them know at the station, or there'll be a most frightful accident. Let's run," said Bobby and began. But Peter cried, "Come back and look at the mother's watch." He was very prompt and businesslike, and his face looked whiter than they had ever seen it. "No time," he said. "It's 2 miles away, and it's past 11. If we had anything red, we could get down on the line and wave it. But the train wouldn't see us till it got round the corner, and then it could see the mound just as well as us," said Phyllis. "Better, because it's much bigger than us. Anyway, let's get down." They got down to steep stairs. Bobby was pale and shivering. Peter's face looked thinner than usual. Phyllis was red-faced and dumb with anxiety. "Oh yes," she cried. "They are red. Let's take them off." They did, and then ran along the railway at their best pace. Peter led, but the girls were not far behind. They reached the corner that hid the mound from the straight line of railway that ran half a mile without a curve of corner. "Now we have got the scarves," said Peter. He looked at the watch again. "And we have got 7 minutes. We must have flagstaffs." Quickly the children cut holes in the flags and ran sticks through them. Then they stood ready to wave the red flags as soon as the train came in sight. Bobby began to feel sick with suspense. She feared the train wouldn't stop and would crash into the mound and go off the rails, and everyone would be killed. Her hands grew very cold and trembled so that she could hardly hold the flag. And then came the distant rumble and hum of the metals, and a puff of white steam showed far away along the stretch of line. "Stand firm," said Peter, "and wave like mad. As the train comes closer, step back, but go on waving." The train came rattling along very, very fast. The front of the engine looked black and enormous. Its voice was loud and harsh. "Oh, stop, stop, stop," cried Bobby. No one heard her. At least Peter and Phyllis didn't, for the oncoming rush of the train covered the sound of her voice with a mountain of sound. But afterward she used to wonder whether the engine itself had not heard her. It seemed almost as though it had, for it slackened swiftly, slackened and stopped, not 20 yards from the place where Bobby's two flags waved over the line. She saw the great black engine stop dead, but somehow she could not stop waving the flags. And when the driver and the fireman had got off the engine, and Peter and Phyllis had gone to meet them, and pour out their excited tale of the awful mound just round the corner, Bobby still waved the flags, but more and more feebly and jerkily. Oh, what a relief it was to Bobby. Their quick thinking had worked. They had saved too many lives. The children felt a great sense of achievement. They felt sure that Mother would feel proud